Banderacon, Captain's Log. Start of a little mini thing. I'm going to call it FPS Russia for reasons that might surprise you. I know this is possibly not the best time to broach the topic, but this is primarily going to be about a little bit of mix of Russian literature and Russian video games in a way that will combine to validate the title. Now, I know with things going on at the moment, not exactly a great place to be, and not exactly something that a lot of people want to be associated with, but you've got to remember that Russia has made some absolutely fantastic literary contributions to culture. Yes, they're currently committing, basically attempting a genocide, but, let's just kind of disambiguate ourselves for a minute. Now, I'm going to start with two particular books that will make sense, one more so than the other. The first is The Dark Watch by Sergei Lukyanenko. I think I pronounced that right. Now, if anyone has read Russian literature, you will know Russians are different. They are just different. I'm not even sure how to really get it across, but there's kind of a grim hopelessness that's just accepted by them, and a lot of their writing just kind of deals with the fact that whoever the protagonist is most of the time has already accepted that their life is kind of shit. And whatever struggle there usually is one where it's kind of already accepted that everything's going wrong and that the best they can do is make sure that maybe some of their friends or family or loved ones survive to see the next day. It kind of embodies the grim fatalism of the Russian people, which, given what they've had done to them and what they've done to others, you can kind of understand. It's a country where people don't really live much past 60 due to rampant alcoholism. Now, The Dark Watch was I actually called out for you to read it, and if you haven't, go ahead and read it. It's fantastic. It's a collection of, I think, 3 short stories in effect, in the same continuity from the same character perspectives. And basically, it's contemporary Russian fantasy. I say contemporary, it's like 1990s, early 2000s, where magic exists, the light and the dark are quote-unquote good and bad, but everything's painted in massive shades of grey or at war with each other. But it's a Cold War, and they aren't allowed to... in fact, if any of you have seen the Constantine film with Keanu Reeves, and I actually quite like that film. It's completely different from the comics, but I liked it anyway. The same way he explains the battle between God and the devil for the souls of mankind. They're not allowed to do things directly, but everything works via cat's paws. It's influence. They can throw down with each other all they want for the most part, but they're not allowed to just unleash. That's a very poor explanation. They're not actually just outright allowed into open conflict, otherwise it'd be a hot war and not a cold war. But there are rules, and the rules are labyrinthine, and the game is long. It's been played for thousands of years. Again, just in my opinion, it's one of the most perfect books I've ever read. I started reading The Day Watch recently. I tried reading it when I first read The Night Watch, and I didn't really like it that much because it kind of starts on a very different story. I don't know, it didn't catch. Anyway, I'm trying again. The second book is Metro 2033, and this is where we get into FPS Russia. Metro 2033 also, though I would say a bit more tightly than The Day Watch, is, in my opinion, taken as a whole, is a collection of short stories written from the perspective of a young lad who's grown up in the underground metro tunnels beneath Russia following a nuclear exchange of some kind where the entire surface of Russia apparently is irradiated. Something is going on. Beings called the Dark Ones are basically destroying stations, and now stations are basically homes. And there's all kinds of weird and wonderful crap going on underground in Russia. Literal tidal waves of rats, creatures that, again, dark ones that aren't understood, stations going dark. You've got, revealed later in the book, and I do recommend reading it, you've got one station, which as I remember it, is basically, or like an enclave, which is a few hardcore literal Satanists forcing people to dig a tunnel to hell and then murdering them when they either break down and get exhausted or just refuse to work. You've got the fascists and the communists revisiting World War II, in the underground because things aren't bad enough. And I know I've mentioned the Dark Ones a couple of times, but the whole premise is really pinned on this idea that there's something going on that's worse than all of that, and it is something beyond our comprehension and understanding, and it's down here with us. Usually all the crazy shit stays topside, but no, not today. So the main character goes in search of, I think it's, my brain wants to say Sebastopol Station, but I know that's wrong. To find the Rangers, which is like a near mythical group of tunnel fighters, maybe old soldiers from pre the bombs dropping, who basically just armor-clad badasses, to try and figure out what's going on, and to spread the warning that basically this is happening and something needs to be done about it. Now, taking a step back, both books are grey on grey on grey on grey Russian morality. There is about as much tone as the skyline in England, and I know because that's where I live. And it's glorious. There's no, in my opinion, grandstanding and moralizing. The closest thing you ever get to that in these kind of books is that characters remember how things used to be, and they get nostalgic, and it's always implicitly understood via your view on the main character, i.e. you viewing the world that the main character is viewing through their lenses, that basically that's bullshit. Things were never as good as they make it out to be. It's just Grandpa is getting nostalgic for the old times again. I will say one particular little bit in the Day Watch, which basically said that Russia is the only place where the battleground between good and evil can be fought. I thought was a little bit funny, but I guess that comment kind of aged like milk. But yes, this is the setup. Again, Dark Watch is just me rambling a little bit, but Metro 2033 is part 1 of this little FPS Russia, because the next one is Metro 2033, the game. Alright, and the call to action is go read some Russian literature. I'm thinking Master and Margarita, Metro 2033, The Day Watch. Again, seriously, it's really fucking good. Can't recommend 2034, but only because I haven't read it. Anyway, fuck off.